Learn how to use async and await to fetch external data cleanly without promise chains. This is the demo of the example we are going to be making. So this example simulates a real network request. It fetches user data, it converts it to JSON and handle any network connection failure gracefully. So how do you know that this example fetches data? Well, you can see these instructions that says check your browser console. Press F12 to see the loaded data. So I'll go ahead and press F12, or if I will press the function F12, yes, the function key and F12, and see my console. So there's a data that is already fetched here that has a user and role as property. So we're going to be looking at how we can actually achieve this simulated fetch in the example. Here's my boilerplate code, and we are going to be looking at how async and await makes a synchronous code read like standard top to bottom synchronous example. So the first thing I want to do is that I want to make a function to simulate the fake fetch. And this fake fetch function is going to receive a URL parameter. Now inside it, I want it to return a new promise, which we take in the resolve and reject inbuilt function provided by JavaScript. And so here's an arrow function inside it. I want to set a timeout. And this also is going to have an arrow function attached to it to test for condition. If our URL equals data.json. So this is a simulated data.json. In real life, you're actually going to have a real data that you can fetch, whether through an API, maybe it's located on another website, and then use your fetch method to communicate with the API to fetch it. But in this simulated example, we're just going to make use of a normal simple text. So this data.json, and inside it, I want our results. To have JSON. Running stuff. Resolve. Zan. Alex. And role developer. So I have my resolve method to set the name and the role of the data that I would like to use. So now at the back of this, I want to have else, that is, if success is not being returned from the result, I want whatever it is to be returned as either an error or a success. And that is the purpose of the else part, in order to catch errors gracefully. Reject error 404 file not found. So in case there's an error, then I want this part to catch that error and report it to me. So once that I have this, then I can move down here and set a milliseconds of 1500, which is 1.5 seconds for this data to load. So now that I have all of this, that is the fake function, fake fetch URL function, Now it's time to make our async function in order to load data from this URL. So now async function, let's start with our async keyword. And what name do we want our function to have? Let's call the function name load data. And inside it, we want to use a try and catch method in order to load our data. So let me make a variable and call it response. Await fake fetch. So what this is basically doing is that this async that we have here is going to label this function as a background task. So once this is running in the background, await on the other hand is going to pause the execution until the data arrives, and that is not going to stop you from doing other things on your web page, whether you want to scroll or you want to perform any action. So this will continue to run in the background, and when it is available, it will pass the result onto await, and await is now going to be the one handling the display of that result. So now that I have this, the next one should be let data await response.json, because I also want to get a response from JSON. So I am assigning this to this data variable. Now, how do we get our results? Usually we will print to the screen, but in this instance, we are not printing directly to the screen. So we want to use the console to display our results. So if it is sources, I want to see the data. Sources, I want to see the data. But if it is not sources, try and catch. So the catch parts, I want it to catch the error and show me this simple string text, failed, and then the cause of the error. Now that I have this, it is now time to run my function. If I check the console now, nothing's actually going to be showing because I am yet to load my function. Even though I have these two functions, I need a way to call it. So I am assigning what I have here to be run underneath the hood, like to run in the background mode. And when the result is available, then I want the await to be responsible for displaying the result. If it is a success, it will load the data, and if it is a failed process, then it will load error. So in order to make this work, I only simply need to call the async function name like this, load data, and boom, you should see the output after 2 seconds. Don't forget you are setting a time of 1,500 milliseconds, which is equivalent to 1.5 seconds. So if you look at my console, you can see user role. So these are the property of the object, and you can see that with this load data, we were able to get an output that demonstrates to us how fetches use data if you want to use it, and convert it to JSON, and also handle any network. You can see this. Now, there are things that you need to take note of in this example. The first thing is that the async test JavaScript, this function will handle pausing. And then our await fake fetch, it pauses the line until the server answers. Await response.json pauses until raw text converts into a clean object, just as what you can see. So this is a raw text, but with the help of JSON, it has been converted into a clean JSON that we can read, just as what you see here. So the try and catch block is here to exactly capture any step that fail. So that is the purpose of what you can see here. Now, if we pass a wrong JSON file, for example, let's say I pass something that does not exist, maybe like d.json, then definitely there's going to be a change in what we get as an output. And you can see that JavaScript gracefully skip the success part and move into the error part inside the catch section and display error 4045 not found. So async and await doesn't change how promises work under the hood. It just gives them the cleanest and most readable syntax available.